Ja, hallo, hier ist Michael Adams für Stock-Telegraph. Heute ist mein erster Tag auf der PDAC in Toronto. Es ist der 1. März. Es ist vergleichsweise kalt draußen. Ich hatte erst gedacht, es sind minus 22 Grad, aber im Moment sind wir, glaube ich, so minus 6, 7 Grad. Trotzdem ist es kalt. Und ich hatte Sie ja aufgerufen in einem meiner letzten Videos, dass Sie mir, wenn Sie eine Company haben, eine interessante Firma, die ich gerne hier besuchen möchte, dass Sie mir dort eine Info geben und mir auch Fragen schicken. Und ich war sehr erstaunt, dass dort eine Firma sehr stark nachgefragt wurde, über die ich bisher noch gar nicht berichtet habe. Und zwar ist es die Monument Mining. Ja, die Monument Mining notiert an der TSX Venture unter dem Symbol MMY. In Frankfurt das Symbol ist die D7Q1 und die Wertpapierkennung ist die A0JSJR. Und bei mir ist jetzt Bob Baldock. Er ist Präsident und CEO der Company. Und ja, ich freue mich, dass ich Ihnen weiterhelfen kann und Ihre Fragen anbringen kann. So, Bob, thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you.
As I said, a lot of my subscribers have questions about Monument Mining. And as you know, I'm from Germany and most of my subscribers are from Germany. So, but the company seems to have a lot of traction in the German market.
Yes, fortunately we have good following in Germany, and we like to inform the German shareholders. So we're welcome to talk to you.
Perfect.
We did get some questions through you, and we'd like to explain the answers to those questions. But firstly, we give an overview of the company.
That would be great, because again, I never talked about the company, so maybe you give us the big picture.
Yes, we can. We are a gold producer. That's the first thing. We have operating mines in the Selansing and Buffalo Reef area in Malaysia. It's in the state of Pahang, in the middle of the country. We also have a project in Australia that we've just acquired last year. It's a gold project. We're working towards putting that into production. We have the Mega Pure project, which is a polymetallic, which is a much bigger project with a longer mine life, but we're still working on developing that. That will take a fair bit of time. And so overall, our company has made good performance. We've made profits. We've put out our quarterly report. We are in the process of developing these assets and would like to go into the details of the questions that you've asked.
Sure, perfect. Yes, so because there have been so many questions, we are going to split this interview into two parts. One is talking about the gold projects, and the second part will be talking about the polymetallic projects, right? Okay, so let's just directly start with the first question, and I will just read it off as it was given to me by my subscribers. The first question would be, in January this year, the company has released very attractive drill results from its Murchison Gold project in Australia, followed by a first 43-101 resource statement in February. So, could you please explain how you want to proceed with the project and how you can benefit from the existing production plant Monument has inherited by taking over the assets a year ago?
Yes, we can do that, but firstly I need to put the record straight. We have not yet filed the 43-101 on those drill results. We have put out 43-101 compliant results.
I'm sorry.
And we will file a 43-101 report before the end of March.
Good.
So it's prepared in draft and it will come out. The plan to put Murchison into production is progressing. When we bought the asset, there were certain things that we had to do. The main thing that we had to do was confirm that we had a resource there and that it was 43-101 compliant. The reason that is important is that we need to be able to engineer a pit, produce a mine plan, an ore delivery schedule, and run the economics to make sure before we press the button that we can actually make profit out of that project. So we were pretty confident before when we bought it, obviously, but we have to prove it. And so we're going through the process of doing that. We've had to upgrade the plant. We've had to put 3 crushers where there were 2. We've had to change screens. We've had to change elevators. And we've got to be planning for not just the mill for the high grade. That high grade would be over 3 grams. We have to plan for construction of a heap leach pad to treat the low grade. that means that we can recover gold from all of the resources there, down to probably half a gram.
Okay, that's good. Next question on my agenda would be, what's your personal view on a potential production scenario, and how many gold ounces in the ground would you need to push the production button? What would be the expected annual production rate? 30,000 ounces?
Well, it's not just about the ounces, but it's we've got to prove that those ounces are there.
Right.
We've got to prove that the plant will work, and we've got to prove that we can recover that gold profitably.
Right.
And that's what we're about doing. We know that shareholders would like to have us producing. They'd be unhappy if we didn't produce, but they would be even more unhappy if we produced and went bankrupt.
I agree, yeah.
So at the moment the company makes profits. It has 25 million, 26.5 million in the bank, and no debt. So we're in a pretty good position compared to some of the exploration and junior companies.
Right. It's especially good to have money on the tail, because right now raising money is kind of really a bit difficult. Yeah, yes. Tough task. Yeah. Okay, so I know that you have not finished and released your mine plans yet, but what are the numbers in regards of additional capex that the investor can expect?
Well, as you've said, we don't have the final figures in yet, but we estimate that somewhere in the $5 to $8 million will need to be spent at the end of the day to affect the overhaul of the plant at the front end. We will need to spend probably in the order of another $7 million. There were estimates done by predecessors for the construction of the heap leach facilities. Right. And that will enable us to process all of the ore that we find in that region, and not just the high grade. Okay,
but you have that money on the tail already.
We have that money in cash. No, that's not an issue.
Right, okay. Yeah. Okay, so that was for the Murchison gold project. Now let's move to the I can't pronounce it. It's a Salinsing gold operation in Malaysia. Yes. This has been a cash cow for the company for the last 6 years, right? So yes, what's the reason, besides a low gold price right now, that your cash flow and your grades have come down really sharply?
Well, there's a gold price come down dramatically, as you rightly point out. It's
at least in dollars, right? In euros, it's not that bad.
Yes. We do fairly well with our low in-country costs. And, of course, in Australia, if a $1,200 gold price US prevails, that's probably around 15 and a half in Australian. Okay. And our costs are in Australian, so that doesn't affect us too badly. Right. We still make a good margin in that country. But the lower grade that we have at the moment, or the lower gold production, we produced reasonable gold and reasonable cash this quarter, and that will continue around those levels, simply because we anticipated 5 or 6 years ago from our mine plan that we did in advance that we would be hitting lower grade oxide material and then ultimately going to sulfides. And that's why we are presently producing through a 1 million tonne a year mill. Okay. That was phase 3, and we did that well in advance. We did that in 2012. And we did that because what you do is replace lower grade with more tonnes. Okay. To maintain thereabouts the same sort of cash flow. Okay. And we're successfully doing that. And we, at the moment, with those resources, including being able to treat the sulfide, which we're working on, we should run through till about 2020. Okay. Good. The next question that was brought to me by my subscribers is, last month the company released a deal with Entech International Projects, a technology company from Australia. It looks like Monument now has a solution for treating its refractory sulfide gold ore. Could you please explain the difference between the Entech technology and previous alternatives that the company has declined? Yes, we can do that, and that may create some questions in some people's mind. Yep. But we did go through all of the other more obvious alternatives. Right. that includes pressure oxidation, roasting, and various other techniques. And to a degree, some of those worked. They worked technically.
Okay.
But they didn't work commercially.
Right.
They were too expensive, too capital intensive for the size of our resource, and some of them were new, and we didn't venture into that. We decided on Intech because of the low cost of operating Intech, the low capex.
Okay.
For instance, BioLeach cost us about 50 or 60 million. Intech plant will cost us, together with the pilot plants and so on, under 20.
That's significant.
It's very, very significant. And also, we will have, if we do all of that, we will have a license to use Intech anywhere in Southeast Asia, exclusive license.
Okay.
So, all of that is good news because it means that we can go and find sulfide ores elsewhere, and we can bring those into the Selancing plant,
right,
and keep that going potentially for a much longer period of time.
Okay. So the next question also refers to the technology. Can shareholders expect higher cash flows and profits once Monument has reached commercial production using the Intech technology? And when that happens, do you have any timeline on this?
Yes, we've projected that we'll have an Intech plant full scale operating in Q1 17.
Okay.
And that will improve the cash flow simply because the sulfide material that we have is higher grade.
Okay.
But we don't get the optimum recoveries by putting that present material, the material through the present plant.
Right.
We waste it. So we just bide our time, we prove up technology and get the Intech process working properly on our ore, and then we'll put that into production. And then we'll make good recoveries.
Okay. And how long can you produce gold from the existing Selancing stockpile? What makes you confident that the company will not run out of gold ore at the Selancing gold plant?
Well, because we have that ore mined.
Okay.
It's sitting there in stockpiles. It has been for years. We took a strategic commercial decision back in around 2007, 2008 that what was designed or declared as waste in the mine plan, that we would stockpile that, and that was anything under a gram, and we did that, and we ended up with several million tonnes of that material.
And how long will this take you?
Well, that's part of the stockpile that'll take us through to 2020, together with the remaining sulfide.
Right.
And so that, of course, is good news, but we are at the same time out exploring.
Okay. But that was a good point. Is there an exploration budget and a program planned for 2015 regarding the Buffalo Reed and Selsing or other lands?
Yes, we have land to the north of Buffalo Reef.
Right.
We have land to the east of Buffalo Reef, and we're exploring on both of those.
Okay.
And we've put results out from time to time on those activities. But the objective, of course, is to find more ore within economic haulage distance of that mill facility.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the budget? Can you put a figure to it?
Yes, last year we spent more than $1 million US.
And for this year?
And for this year, at least the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question would be, is Monument planning on buying additional projects in Malaysia or possibly in Australia, or will the company focus on the existing projects for now? Shareholders are concerned about further dilution, potential dilution. You have something like 320 million shares outstanding, and as you know, the Germans are always afraid of dilution, but especially at these low price levels for the share. So if you want to develop all of the current assets, will you have sufficient cash for all of this?
We have cash for most of it, or much of it. We don't have any ambition to go out and acquire more land specifically.
Okay.
We are cautious about doing that. We've bypassed more projects than you would know, where people bring things to us all the time.
Okay.
Simply because we have cash and they think...
and a lot of companies are struggling, and so they need to sell some of their non-core assets.
That's correct, yes. But we don't necessarily need to go buy those.
But you could cherry pick if there's something which is really interesting for you with your cash. You could secure that.
We do cherry pick. That's why we bought Tuckanarra.
Right.
That is accretive to the Burnakara project. It adds another 100,000 ounces without any further expansion and exploration.
Okay.
And I'm reasonably confident that once we get to and that's on our program this year, that Tuckanarra will expand in ounces. So we'll be doing that same sort of thing in Malaysia, and we'll be cautious. And that is unless, of course, some exceptional opportunity comes along, and then clearly we look at that.
But you're aware that especially the German investors, are afraid of further dilution, and right now you don't plan on diluting them at these levels if nothing comes out of the blue.
Absolutely
okay.
Not, yes. We're very aware of dilution. What we focus on is earnings per share.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
We have to make surplus cash and additional profits in order to be able to justify any further dilution.
Right. And the next question is kind of connected. What's the current market cap right now? And you already mentioned the cash figure, but could you just sum that up again? And then there was an interesting question about if you are starting to pay dividends, and if so, will this be an annual or quarterly dividend?
Yeah. Well, the first question was what is our market cap? Market cap's running around 30 million at the moment. And that doesn't reflect the value of the company, clearly. We've got just about that much cash in the bank. As at last Friday, we had about 26.5 million in the bank. So that's...
so you're trading at cash value?
Yes. Wow. And there's a lot of companies that are in that position, unfortunately. But anyway, that's what it is for the moment. Our job is to get it out of that trough if we can. And that's what we work on all the time.
Yeah, but paying a dividend would help getting a better valuation for the company.
It would, but when you pay a dividend and you make a dividend announcement, it has to be sustainable.
I agree.
Nobody wants to have a dividend this week and nothing next week. Right?
That's right.
We need to be able to show the market that we have sufficient resources. I'm talking about mineral resources and production capability, that if we start paying a dividend, we can sustain that dividend. Now, as to whether it'll be quarterly or yearly, I think that's a bit far out to try and predict.
Okay.
But we definitely have the principal objective of the company is to return dividends to shareholders.
Okay.
It just takes a while, particularly with all the market ups and downs. It takes a while to get there. You have to go out and buy these resources. You have to develop them. You have to build a team of people, and all of which we've done.
Yeah.
We employ hundreds of people. We've established ourselves successfully in Australia. It was part of our country diversification risk strategy. We've diversified ourselves with Megapure, and we'll come to that in some other questions that you've got, I'm sure. So we're achieving that risk diversification, de-risking the company. We made a conscious effort just a bit more than 2 years ago to take out all debt. We've done that. We made a conscious decision to accumulate cash and have a buffer there. We've done that. And we made a conscious decision to produce profitably or not at all.
Okay.
And we've done that.
Yeah.
So we think we're a conservatively managed company. And not everybody likes that. They like us to be flying by the seat of his pants and being adventurous.
Yeah.
That's not our style. We want to be able to say to shareholders, the company is still here, your shares are still safe, the money is in the bank, don't worry about it.
Okay. No, and again, it was a tough market the last couple of years, right?
Sure.
So it's not the only stock price which is going down south,
right? It's not just about stock price, it's about survival.
Yeah.
There are many companies that haven't survived.
Yeah.
I can tell you that in Western Australia alone, there are 600 mining companies in administration or liquidation. Western Australia alone.
That's a lot.
I don't know what the figure is across Canada and the US, but there would be lots of companies that are hurting and they're either in liquidation or administration.
Right. Okay, So first of all, I'm really proud of my subscribers, that have all these really specific questions. So it seems they know what they are doing, and
I think they do, Michael.
So that's cool, right? So as we said at the beginning, we're going to follow up with the second interview talking about your polymetallic project, and so I will touch base with you in later on to talk about this other project. Thank you very much, Bob, for now.
Yep. Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate it.